وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذا أرسلنا عليهم اثنين فكذبهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا عليكم المرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا عليكم المرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجعل من أقصى المدينة رجلا يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجر وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وعليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردون الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم عليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميعا لدينا محضرون وآيات لهم الأرض الميتة أحيانها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب ففجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآيات لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر والليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآيات لهم إنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولهم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أن نؤتم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويأكلون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من باسنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميعا لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنات اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب الرحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وإن عبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد ضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنا يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخنهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن عمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له ان هو الا ذکر وقرآن مبین لینذر من کان حیا ویحق القول علی الکافرین اولم یروا انا خلقنا لهم مما عملت ایدنا انعاما فهم لها مالکون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب افلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون اولم ير الانسان انا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هم خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي انشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر إلا خضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقدر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وعليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات بارے دیگر صلوات اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان اللعین الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم عن جابر بن عبداللہ انصاری انہ قال عن فاطمۃ الزہراء علیہ السلام بنت رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ قال سمعت فاطمۃ انہا قالت دخل على أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعف فقلت له أعزك بالله يا أبته من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر عليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بالولد الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأن رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فادخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بالولد الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأن رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وعليه فقلت نعم إن جدك وهاك تحت الكساء فدن الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده السلام عليك يا من اختار الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك فادخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأن رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله فقلت نعم ها ومعه ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسي وخليفتي وصاحب الأولاء قد أذنت لك فادخل علي تحت الكساء ثم آتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبته يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزعتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأمي بيدي اليمان إلى السماء وقال اللهم إنه لا هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لما حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لما آداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك على وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وهم طاهرهم تطهيرا. وقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سمعا مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أحبت الأرض لأكون معهم سادة؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك هبت الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سمعا مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل أتأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فادخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لبي أن الله قد أوحى عليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. وقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جميع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم رحمته وحفت بهم ملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا ففوز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جميع من شيعتنا ومحبينا فيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همّا ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمّا ولا طالب حاجات إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا ففوز وسعد في دنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. بارے دیگر نعرہ صلوات. اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد.
صلی اللہ اللہ بیٹا
صلی علی محمد وآل محمد.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. دعا گو ہیں بارگاہ رب العزت میں باقی پینتر پاک بتوسل قائم آل محمد علیہ السلام کہ جو مومن و مومنات یہاں اس وقت مجلس میں موجود ہیں یا رستے میں ہیں یا کسی بھی وجہ سے نہیں آ پائیں گے، بارش یا جو بھی کچھ، اور جہاں جہاں دنیا بھر میں مومن و مومنات آباد ہیں، پروردگار سب کو اپنی زبان تحفظ اور آسانی عطا فرمائے، عزاداری حسین کو فروغ عطا فرمائے، ہمارے تمام مقامات مقدسہ کی حفاظت فرمائے، تمام مومنین کو مجھ سمیت سب کی زیارت نصیب فرمائے حج اور عمرے کے ساتھ. ایک نعرہ صلوات بآواز بلند.
صلی علی محمد وآل محمد.
یہ جب یوسف میاں پڑھ رہے تھے اے چاند، تو یہ سبت بھائی نے مجھے خود بتایا تھا کہ وہ ایک دن کربلا گئے ہوئے تھے عام دنوں میں، تو اتفاق سے وہ قمر نکل آیا اور وہ بین الحرمین میں بیٹھے ہوئے تھے. تو اس جس کو ہم چاند کہتے ہیں وہ مکمل چاند، قمر آدھا بدر اور چھوٹا سا وہ اس کو ہلال کہتے ہیں. تو وہ جب مکمل 14ویں چاند کا ان کو نظر آیا تو انہوں نے چاند سے دیکھ کر باتیں کرنی شروع کر دی، اور یہ کلام بین الحرمین میں انہوں نے کہا سبت جعفر صاحب نے. تو ان کے درجات کی بلندی درجات کے لیے ایک نعرہ صلوات بآواز بلند.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد.
ربیع الاول شروع ہو جائے گا، 4 ہو چکا ہے، 4 مصرے اسی مناسبت سے. شاباش. وصف نور ازل کیوں کسی سے سنو، وصف نور ازل کیوں کسی سے سنو، روشنی کے شرف روشنی سے سنو، ہو جو ظرف سماوات تو مدح نبی، ہو جو ظرف سماوات تو مدح نبی، یا خدا سے سنو یا علی سے سنو، وصف نور ازل. نعرہ صلوات بآواز بلند.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد.
مقصد شبیر پہ جو بھی فنا ہو جائیں گے، مقصد شبیر پہ جو بھی فدا ہو جائیں گے، بس وہی باقی رہیں گے سب فنا ہو جائیں گے. ہے ہماری دھڑکنے ماتم تو دل فرش عزا. ہے ہماری دھڑکنے ماتم تو دل فرش عزا. ہم غم شبیر سے کیسے جدا ہو جائیں گے. مقصد شبیر پہ فاتحہ. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. الحمدللہ رب العالمین. مارک لگایا ہوا ہے. چھٹ کر جب آیا شام سے کنبہ رسول کا. چھٹ کر جب آیا شام سے کنبہ
رسول کا.
یثرب کے ذرے ذرے نے ایک زخم نو دیا. آئے جو ابن جعفر تیار باصفا. ایک تیر سا کلیجے میں عابد کے گڑ گیا. زینب تو دور ہٹ گئیں منہ کو چھپا لیا. عابد نے اپنے پاس چچا کو بٹھا لیا. عابد نے آہ بھر کے سوئے خیمہ کی نظر. زینب تڑپ کے جھپ گئیں کانپے دل و جگر. جعفر کے شعر نے جو سنی آہ پر اثر. ہاتھ اپنا پیار سے رکھا عابد کی پشت پر. فرمایا یوں تڑپ کے نہ آہو فغاں کرو. بیٹا جو دکھ اٹھائے ہیں مجھ سے بیان کرو. عابد نے آہ بھر کے کہا کچھ نہ پوچھئے. جو سوچ بھی نہ سکتے تھے ایسے ستم ہوئے. برگشتہ اس قدر تھا زمانہ حسین سے. اوروں کا ذکر کیا علی اصغر نہ بچ سکے. حق وفا ادا کیا بچوں نے آپ کے. دادا کا روب داب تھا تیور تھے باپ کے. کس شان سے لڑے وہ دلاور نہ پوچھئے. کس طرح وار کرتے تھے جم کر نہ پوچھئے. مرعوب ان سے کتنا تھا لشکر نہ پوچھئے. کیا کہہ رہے تھے قاسم و اکبر نہ پوچھئے. ہر ایک کی زباں پہ صدا مرحبا کی تھی. فرصت نہ دی اجل نے یہ مرضی خدا کی تھی. ان پر ہی کیا اجل تو بھرے گھر کو کھا گئی. قاسم کو کھا گئی علی اکبر کو کھا گئی. عباس جیسے شیر دلاور کو کھا گئی. حد ہو گئی کہ صبتے پیغمبر کو کھا گئی. سب قبر میں چلے گئے سونے کے واسطے, میں ہی بچا ہوں کنبے کو رونے کے واسطے. کیسے کہوں چچا نہ رہے جب شاہ امام بے وارثوں پہ توڑے گئے کس قدر ستم. بازار میں پھرائے گئے ننگے سر حرم, دنیا اڑا رہی تھی مذاق اور چپ تھے ہم. کیا حال درد منہ سے کہیں دیکھ لیجئے, دروں کے زخم پشت پہ ہیں دیکھ لیجئے. دربار میں گئے تو قیامت گزر گئی, مجمع میں آل پاک نبی ننگے سر گئی. تانے تھے مضحکے تھے جہاں تک نظر گئی, ہم ڈھونڈتے تھے موت کو نہ جانے کدھر گئی. قیدی تھے سر جھکائے خمیدہ کھڑے ہوئے, چھوٹے بڑے تھے ایک رسن میں بندھے ہوئے. قیدی تھے سر جھکائے خمیدہ کھڑے ہوئے, چھوٹے بڑے تھے ایک رسن میں بندھے ہوئے. چھٹ کر جب آیا شام سے,
آواز بلند نعرہ سلوات. I'd like to request Moulana Mirza Abbas to come on the mimbar. Today's topic, Mu'minin, is how to develop a system for youth to connect with each other and with Imam Barkat. آواز بلند نعرہ سلوات. نعرہ تکبیر, نعرہ
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد للہ اولہ بلا اول کان قبلہ وآخرہ بلا آخر یکون بعدہ, الذی قصرت عن رؤیتہ ابصار الناظرین وعجزت عن نعتہ اوہام الواصفین. ثم الصلاۃ والسلام علی سیدنا و نبینا حبیبنا و طبیب نفوسنا اشرف الانبیاء والمرسلین ابی القاسم محمد وآلہ الطیبین الطاہرین المعصومین المظلومین ولعنۃ الدائم علی اعدائہم اجمعین من الان الی قیام یوم الدین. اما بعد, السلام علیکم جميعا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. قال امیر المومنین علیہ السلام, a narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen which is peculiar for the youth. Every time you face an issue which requires your focus and needed an advice, ask a youngster, because they are intelligent and quick in their opinions, and then leave it in the hands of the adults or older individuals so they can calculate the result, as they are more experienced in comparison with the youth. It's a very balanced way of advising when a person is facing an issue. Whenever I have an issue or an advice I would like to seek, then obviously Amir is saying that, check out with the youngsters, and they are very intelligent, and especially today when we look at, in comparison to, the amount of advancement that has taken place, and how the youngsters, particularly even the children, are so intelligent in terms of their calculations and understanding. It's quite unique, quite special. So, but at the same time, Hazrat Amir has not overlooked the elderly ones. Have said, okay, give them that opportunity too, because they have that experience. Because the youngster may not have that experience, but an older person have seen and have the experience, and he may calculate certain things based on the experience. So tonight's discussion is geared towards how we could engage our youth in our community centers. And prior to that, I would like to point out to some value in regards to the youth. It's very important for myself and senior members to have a deeper understanding, a greater understanding, the role that the youth have played in the past, that have shaped up Islam and civilization, today, and also how it will be in the future as well, right? When Imam will return soon, inshallah, it will be difficult for me to run, because of my age. But an 18-year-old, he will be like very quick, he'll be much stronger. So the future is of the youth, and Imam needs people who are young, strong, helpers to, run around and do things for him, when he commands. And having said this as well, the sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam, in one of the narration he says that he inquires, An Ismail ibn Abdul Khaliq, Sami'atu Aba Abdullah, Yaqul li Abi Jafar. He says to a person, and he asks, did you go to Basra? He replies, yes, Imam, I did. How did you find people hastening this matter, which is imamat, hastening towards the matter of imamat, and embracing it? He replied, by Allah, such people were few in number, and even that which they did do was little. So Imam inquired about the issue of imamat, as he was returning from Basra. How did he find? Then the Imam replied, you should put it forth to the youngsters. This wilayat, imamat, should be put forth to the youngsters. For verily they haste towards any good, right? And they will accept, the cause of imamat. Right? That's why you find youngsters are more energetic to establish justice, to get, for equality, to get rid of any sort of form of racism, so on and so forth, right? Even, we have seen discussions on our dinner table. My daughter or my son will just, get me right there, that you shouldn't be, speaking in this way. This is in a derogative way, for example, which some of these things are actually because of the British Raj and British Empire and how they ruled over, the Asians, in the East, and have kind of, basically infiltrated in the education system and created that sort of institutionalized racism against, colored individual people, so on and so forth. And we kind of, naturally adapt because of the environment that we were brought up and the things that were discussed by the parents and so forth, for example. And even today, for example, if we, it's really interesting and very good, even if we, for example, comment a person who is, having, for example, a type of skin color, which is yellow, that is racist, right? But it wasn't really looked that precisely, by our parents as such, or even by us to a certain level. Right? But today we find the youngsters are paying attention to these things, which is actually pointing out to that awareness of equality and justice that the 12th Imam will establish, will have all of these qualities, all of these things, right? Which because of the education, which because of the awareness, the youngsters are, learning it. And that's why in another narration, the Prophet, Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says that verily the heart of a youngster is like empty plot of land. It accepts whatever is planted therein. And that's the beauty of the heart of a youth, of a youngster, right? It's a barren land, and whatever is planted in there, it accepts very quickly, right? If compared to a land which is ready, right? So if you plant, for example, something that is, thorny and bad and evil, for example, is detrimental to atmosphere, air, society, obviously it will, because it's that land. But if you plant something that is good and beneficial, then it takes that, and it provides its fruit, right? So it really depends on those who are the gardeners, the caretakers of this. And this place here itself is one of the centers of that, where it should plant, seeds which will eventually have a tree which will provide benefit and help and support to Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala I was just, this evening when I was coming out of the college, I saw like it was raining, but under the tree there was more strong rain, although it's the same amount of rain, because the tree is taking those raindrops, preserving it, and when the wind is blowing, it gives more rain, right? So the youths are like that, they take that barakah and blessing, right? And then when the time comes, or when there is that wind, of rahmah, of mercy, it gives more, towards the earth, towards the land, towards the people, which is rain, which is purity. So basically the youths are very important. They are the lifeline of our society, of our community, of our deen. When we look at the Quran itself, you would find stories of all the prophets when they basically were inspired, or that element of wahi and tawheed came about in them. They were very young. They were young. One story after the other. So the Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have preserved these prophets because of their youthfulness, because of their what they did when they were young, and that actually became the source of their their trajectory towards that kamal and perfection, which became perfect. For Hazrat Ibrahim, for example, if you look at it, just look at an example of Hazrat Ibrahim. If you look at the marahil, the stages of his life, the reason we are discussing this, yes, eventually like last night, there was a bit of a less time given to the practical aspect of it. Tonight I'll try to make sure that we have more aspect to discuss, that what things should be done in a community in order to attract the youth, right? We'll talk about that as well. But it's important for the youth as well, and for all of us as well, to understand the value of the youth and the importance of it, and to benefit from it, from the stories of the Quran and Hadith and narrations. Right. So, if you look at Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, right, he was very young, and the marahil and the stages of his. For example, you have the stage of that Islam and Taslim. You have the stage or the station of Iman, belief, because Iman is higher than Islam, because the Quran clearly says when the people came to the Prophet and said, we have brought Iman. The Prophet says, don't say. The ayah says, Qulu aslamna. Say, you have brought Islam. You haven't brought Iman yet. Iman is of a higher level, right? So Mu'min is somebody who is higher than a Muslim, right? So that's why we should always ask Iman. Oh Allah, give me an Iman in the month of Ramadan we recite. That It should have no amount of shak. Mu'min is a person who have no doubt. Because mu'min is a person who is itminan qalb. Right? Now that becomes the next stage. So you have Muslim, you have Iman, then you have Yaqeen. Right? Hazrat Ibrahim reached the stage of Yaqeen. Right? He was looking at the stars and the moon and the sun, although these all have actually manifestations of the rububiyyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he was witnessing. He was not like me, for example. Oh, I look at the big moon, I say, oh, this is big. It's in a physical way. No, it wasn't the physical calculation which Hazrat Ibrahim was doing. Right? He is the champion of Tawheed. He was trying to look at the rububiyyat ilahi, the manifestation of Allah as a Rabb. And he was trying to analyze and understand that on the intellectual level, and teaching us the way of reaching Tawheed through burhan, through proofs, through ayat. As Allah says that I have placed the ayat and through which you should come to me. There are two paths, there are two ways of reaching Allah. One is through ayat. A person looks at the sign upon the horizon and he reaches. But some people are of the caliber that Allah takes them and they see Allah directly. Right? In Dua Arafah of Imam Hussain, he recites, Bika araftuka wa anta dallaltani alayh. Oh Allah, I know you because you showed yourself to me. What are these ayats are weak to really reflect Allah, but Allah, you showed me. That's the highest form of ma'rifat and understanding, where Allah shows himself. Allahumma arifni nafsak. Oh Allah, make my, this dua of Imam Zaman as well, that we should recite in the time of the occultation of Imam Zaman, the sixth Imam have given this dua. Allahumma arifni nafsak. Oh Allah, give me the ma'rifat of your nafs, so that when I know you, I will know Rasul. Allahumma arifni rasulak. Oh Allah, give me the knowledge of Rasul. If I don't have the knowledge of Rasul, then I will not have the knowledge of the hujjat. Right? So if I have the knowledge of Allah properly, purely, then I will never doubt in Rasul. If there's a problem in my tawheed, there's a problem in my understanding of Allah, then I will be having issues by understanding what Rasul is saying. When Rasul says, Tarikum fikum al-thaqalain, I will be saying, there will be a bit of a confusion and doubt. Kitab is enough, book, Allah is enough. But if Allah is understood properly, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni. If you really love Allah, then follow Rasul. Yuhibbukum, and then Allah will love you. Right? So then Allah, Allahumma arifni nafsak. Oh Allah, make me recognize Allah Himself. And we should always ask. And the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are there to introduce that tawheed. Right? Inshallah, tomorrow being dua Thursday night, and on the topic is dua, we'll reflect a bit more on du'as and how tawheed has been introduced through du'as and the purpose of dua, so on and so forth. Then, Rasul, then hujjat. If I don't understand Rasul, then hujjat will not be understood properly. So we should understand what Rasul, as the Quran says that, whatever Rasul gives, فَخُذُوهُ مَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ. Whatever Rasul gives, the ayah says, مَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. Whatever Rasul gives, you take. You don't doubt, you don't question, you do anything. And the priority, awlawiyat, the priority is of Rasul all the time. Prior to my understanding, my nafs, my life, my children, Rasul is the prior. Then hujjatak. Oh Allah, make me understand that hujjat of Allah. The Imam, the hujjat. If I don't understand the hujjat, zallaltu an dini. I will go astray in my deen. My deen will be gone. Then that's why the hadith says, man mata, a person who dies without recognizing the Imam of the time, mata bintatan jahiliya. He has gone astray. He has died a death of. So the 12th Imam, so Hazrat Ibrahim, in that young age, he has reached to the stage of itminan. Islam, Iman, Yaqeen. But Yaqeen also need the yatmain qalbi. Oh Ibrahim, don't you understand? Don't you have yaqeen? The Quran says to Ibrahim, because he was returning back. He was very young. But he has, look at the stage of itminan that he has reached. That's why when he's returning back from that cave, right? He says, oh Allah, how do you, because all of those sayr, all of those journey he has already done. The suns and the moon and this. Now he's returning. Where is he returning? He's returning to his qawm, to his people. See, there are 4 journeys, just in the margin. One is a journey which the 16th century philosopher Mullah Sadruddin Shirazi wrote a book called Asfar-e Arba, the 4 journeys. It's about 9 volumes in Arabic, and this book is used as a textbook in the seminaries, in the houses they teach when they are teaching philosophy. And the Sadran philosophy is known as a transcendental philosophy, which is a combination of Platonic and Aristotelian philosophy, right? And it also includes the Illuminist, the Sohrawardi philosophy as well. Inshallah, I would request, if probably on a Saturday, it's a Saturday, maybe we'll have a Q&A after the Majlis, Matam and everything. If the youth, they stick around, we'll just discuss few things, because there were a few confusions yesterday Majlis as well in regards to understand the concepts that I was trying to deliver. So we can probably open those things up more and clear certain doubts that they may have. But it's nothing new, whenever I give a talk, people don't understand. So it's right. It's nothing new, because, well, as we are talking about philosophy, the Susar of Mullah Sadra, Mir Damad, the father-in-law of Mullah Sadra, he was not Mir Damad, he was a great philosopher as well. So he died, and they put him in grave, and Munkir and Nakir came, because he wrote very deep philosophy. Yeah. So when Munkir and Nakir came, they asked him, Man Rabbuk? He started speaking falsafa, wujud, or mumkinul wujud, or this terminology is philosophical. In Farishte, they said, what is he talking about? Asking a simple question, what is he saying? We don't understand. So they went to Allah and they said, Allah, this man is like taking our time as well, perhaps long discussion of falsafa. What is he saying? He said, don't worry, he was a good man, let him come. So philosophers are very difficult to understand. And that's another thing which I would like to say, that youths are not always attracted to lectures. They're different, understanding, way of comprehension. Some people like poetry, beautiful, mashallah. May Allah bless you for preparing, for teaching. This is amazing what I saw today in terms of poetry. The youth, recite one loud salawat for them. Not everybody like this. You have that substance, that sort of taste. Some people are outside, they stand. When Matam comes, they are here, right? So there are different understanding, different things that they would like to take from here. So therefore, it's very important that our center should provide variety of ways by which we could attract them. Maybe, it's not just lectures all the time. Maybe a workshop, maybe not even workshop, an art and craft and an exhibition of art and craft where we put paintings here and discuss these paintings. What these paintings are talking about, right? Maybe even taking them to, to the Natural History Museum and speaking to them, like while looking at the statue of Lucy, the Neanderthals and all that, and refuting the argument of Darwinism, right then and there. We take a group of youth, and a Maulana could be a guide. We take them to meteors. We looked at the different forms of formation of rocks, where the Quran talks about it, discusses. فَبِأَيِّ اللَّهِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. While it's a day trip to Natural History Museum. It's a day trip to Art Museum. It's a day trip to, I don't know, we have so many things here, right? We look at the Egyptian civilization. One of the kings was Tanuka, I'm forgetting the name. He was the one who used to worship, one God, right? These type of things which will bring the youth to us. On a Sunday, we divide them with ages, and we take them, and then we kind of discuss these things then and there. And that affects, because like I said, not everybody understands philosophy. Anyway, recite one salawat. Let's go back to the topic. I don't have time. So here, Sadra, he talks about these 4 journeys. A journey within the creation to understand the existence, what it is. What is this? What is the reality of it? How it is there. For example, the door is there, but there are 9 causes behind that door to be there. Otherwise, the door will not be there. You're reflecting in terms of illat wa ma'lul wa existence and wujud to really get to the bottom of it. Then you have the element of the journey of the other wujud, where one travels from this world towards the higher reality, beginning with our dreams, imagination, angelic realm, so on and so forth. It does say, he journeys in that realm of spirituality, nafs, so on and so forth, right? What is the reality of it, right? Then, as he journeys up, he gets into the Jabarut, into the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of God itself, ilahiyat, the ma'na khas, peculiarly discussing sifat subuti, salbiya, so on and so forth, the positive attributes, the negative attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so on and so forth. Then he returns back, and he returns back and he takes the jama'at towards Allah. These are the 4 journeys. Every soul which is the Prophet, you would see that this is happening. Now, Hazrat Ibrahim, he's returning to his town. Where? To take them to Tawheed, to guide them. So he has gone past those stages. As he is returning back, for our youngsters, I will tell you this story. Recite one salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So as he's returning back, he says, "Oh Allah, I want to have that itminan of my heart. I have yaqeen. Oh Ibrahim, don't you have yaqeen?" He said, "Yes, I have yaqeen." And then, now I'll put the glasses. I see Jafri Sahib, but I wasn't saying something. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So you have yaqeen? Yes, I have yaqeen. But I want to have that itminan of the heart. I want to see how you will raise people after they die. You raise them from death. Qiyamah, they say you will come back to life after dying, thousands of years. You have yaqeen? Yes, I have yaqeen. But I want to see it. Now, when you look at Hazrat Ibrahim's life, you would find a lot of terminology which talks about arena manash, arena, to seeing. Hazrat Ibrahim always asks, I want to see it, which is known as, in the spiritual realm, as mukashafat, as unveiling of the truth, which happens to a soul when it's traveling, whether in a form of a dream or in a form of reality. One sees it, and it has different levels. Like just now, Sibt Jafar Shaheed Marhum, he looks at the moon and he makes the whole poetry. That's his inspiration. That moon is speaking to him, and he writes it. That's a type of a mukashafa, unveiling of the truth. That happens, right? Hassan Zadeh Amali, he would speak to the fruit on food. He says, "Welcome. How are you? Where have you come from? Thank you for coming." He would speak to his own food and thank and eat. That's how the Urafa are like, right? So here, Hazrat Ibrahim, he says, I want to see so that I have that itminan. So what Allah said is 4 birds, that he should kill them, mince them, put on the rock, and ask them to come, and will come to life. Now, the Quran just mentions this and leaves it. Right? However, there's a description in the riwayat, in the narratives, 6 Imam have a hadith, which talks about what these 4 birds were, which made Hazrat Ibrahim to reach that itminan. Right? So even the Urafa, Sufi masters have done the commentary on it. Khaja Ansari have done it. Mullah Mohsen Faiz Kashani have explained this, and many others. And here they say this peacock. One of the bird was a peacock. Why peacock? As we were speaking yesterday, everything have a meaning and have a gender, have a reality, deeper reality to it. And it was very important to reflect. That's why Allah says, reflect. It is tadabbur wa tafakkur. There are more verses which talks about tadabbur wa tafakkur than salat. Reflect. right? Contemplate, ponder on these realities that's out there, right? So here is one of the bird, the Imam says it's a peacock. Now why peacock? Because peacock is a reflection on these, animals and signs. Peacock is a very proud bird. It's very proud of its arrogance, very arrogant. I'm the most beautiful. And it is beautiful, and I'm the most beautiful. So, oh Ibrahim, kill your arrogance if you want to have that itminan on the yaqeen that you have. So we have to kill our nafs. We have to kill our ego in order to really reach there and see and have that itminan on it, right? All of these urafa and masters, they have gone these stages of Islam, Iman. Very briefly I use this terminology. Islam, Iman, Yaqeen, and then Itminan, right? And that will happen, Ibrahim. We have to let go ourselves. How much of our community trustees or members are 18 years old to 25? Any centers you show me in UK, none. It's needed. Oh, I have the most experienced one because I am a CEO or I am the manager or I am this or I am that. Excuse me. This is something else. We have to keep all of that thing when we take our shoes off there. When we come in the Farsh Azab, we are servants of Zahra. When we want to serve, we should be, having a youth as one of the trustees or one of the main member who would give advice in regards to the future of this center, because they will be the one who will be running this place. We have to, we have to learn from them and train them at the same time. We are not saying that they are 100%. No, we got to train them. Alhamdulillah, if you look at certain training that our parents have done, when they go to Majlis, they will take their children, put next like this, how this brother, mashallah, beautiful, recite one salawat for him. That's how we learn. Our fathers, they brought us, they sat in the Farsh Azza, and that's how we learn. Gradually and gradually, he becomes him. And he continued doing that. And he transfers it. That's how Islam have been transferred. That's why zikr, Majalis have been transferred. Now, if we have this system, alhamdulillah, it's the Majalis system have brought us here, where 20 million are walking because of that. So if we do the same thing in terms of our management, having a young lad, having a young person as a trustee or as one of the main members of the executive board, then we'll take it further. We have got to do that. So therefore, here Hazrat Ibrahim says you got to kill that ego, but it's very difficult to come out of that. I'm the president, for example, of the Jamaat, or whatever, executive member of this and that. Then, after that, Hazrat Ibrahim said, oh Ibrahim, kill the rooster. The second bird was a rooster. Rooster is pointing out to the shahwat, the lust. Oh Ibrahim, kill your lust. Kill your shahwat. Shahwat, for example, in the sense that of women, or shahwat of maqam, of mal. There are different types of shahwat, different types of lust. Oh, Ibrahim, you've got to kill that if you want to have that itminan. You've got to get rid of that. And obviously this topic is in itself, shahwat is a topic in itself. And sometimes we are shy to discuss these topics, unfortunately, but we should, bring it up, discuss what really shahwat is. Shahwat is very important at the same time. If there's no shahwat, then we all will not be here actually. It's probably part and parcel of our existence. If it's not there, it will, greed is part and parcel of our existence. Hazrat Isa saw the farmer working in the field, and he was saying, oh Allah, Hazrat Isa was thinking, why greed? Why Allah you created greed? Take rid of the greed. So Allah said, oh Isa, look at that farmer working in the field. I'm going to take greed from his wujud. Allah took the greed away. This farmer, while working, he left everything, he was just relaxed. One day passed, 2 days passed, children are hungry, What happened? He said, no, nothing, I have no greed of anything of this house or that house. It's part and parcel of our existence. Shahwat is the same thing. It must be there in order for that, pull, attraction to take place. There are different levels of that shahwa. Haywan have a different type, insan have a different type, and insan is also haywan in atya. Then Ibrahim killed that bird, which is a rooster. Then, Ibrahim, number 3, he says, kill the bird crow, because crow is a bird which have long hopes. If you dig open where the crows are, you will find walnuts being saved. Long hopes, they have long hope. Ibrahim, kill your long hope. Yes, planning is something else and leaving it in the hands of Allah, but sometimes we have just long hopes. We'll do this, we'll do that, right? Then finally, I'm just making it very short, is pigeon, because pigeon is a very greedy bird. It has a small stomach, but it fills the food in the neck and just chews and keep it here. It's very greedy. So Ibrahim, kill your greed. Ibrahim, kill your shahwat. Ibrahim, kill your arrogance. Ibrahim, kill your long hopes. Then you will be able to see. Then Ibrahim said, come. And the birds came to life. Right? He saw. He was a very young one, young age. And then he went back. And then he started guiding them, telling his uncle that, why are you making these idols? And he did the breaking of that idols takes place and all that. That is the journey. After the 4th journey, where he's trying to take people towards Allah, towards Tawheed. And then look at the height of his Tawheed. When he's been tossed in the fire, Jibreel comes and says, Ibrahim, do you need any help? Ibrahim said, not from you, from Allah. And then that fire changed into the garden. That's the height of Tawheed. That's why he's known as the champion of Tawheed, Hazrat Ibrahim. Right? What age? Young age. Right? Is anybody ready to make a 13-year-old a trustee of this place or any center that we have? No way, right? But we gotta do this. A change must come. If a young person becomes some sort of position, then the other youth will be attracted towards. They will be interested in things that we'll be doing here. Will be geared towards that, which is very important to have these things. Right? Like for example, maybe, we could have a book club, for the youth to be here. Not necessarily reading, Imam Khomeini or Shahid Mutahari, no. There's a very nice book which is called the Tao of Pu, which talks about Taoism and which has very good Tawheedi principle within it. Life of Malcolm X. We started doing this book club at the Hausa. Sheikh Ahmed Hanif was leading this. He finished the whole book of Malcolm X, right? Books like that could be discussed, which have a lot of see, these books needs the knowledge is there, but it requires that channelizing it, guiding it, pointing out to those things that are there within it, right? Discussion. There's a very beautiful book which we use as a textbook as well, Religions of Man by Dr. Houston Smith, which talks about different religions. Let's discuss about that. That's another thing that is very important, that the centers and the youth should get involved, is interfaith and interfaith. They should be in charge of that, and discussing and inviting people of other faith. Now, in order for our community to do that, they need to have knowledge of that as well. Not just that they have gained some knowledge, no, probably, deep knowledge, understanding of these things, so that they don't make a mistake and they understand it, why they are worshipping in such fashion. And we all learn. This year I recited my Ashra in the Dawoodi Bhora community for the first time. And I just found out this year that 6th Imam is not Imam Jafar Sadiq for them. It's actually Hazrat Abdullah. Okay, it's actually, it's actually Imam Bakr, the 6th Imam. Because for them, first Imam is not Imam Ali. They regard first Imam as Imam Hassan. Right? I mean, we have lived, my beard have gone white, I did not know till now. So knowledge is needed. In order that we don't commit these mistakes, right? This sort of exchange representation, understanding. Because for them, Imam Ali is the Khalifa, the first Khalifa, the Wali. And after him is the first Imam, Imam Hassan. The second Imam, Imam Hussain. And that's how they go, right? And there's different branches of it, different, they also break from the main branch, the Burhanuddin. They were a small group, these Dawoodi Bohras were, somewhere in Watford, right? They also break from them, So the point I'm trying to make is that understanding. So, we need to have those sessions here. We need to have a team who understand the inside out of Judaism, of Christianity, of Taoism, of Buddhism, of, have some sort of good understanding of it, and then, looking at the commonality, understanding, and bring them here, and introduce our mazhab, our majalis, our, So it's very important to have that, right, for the youth. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Then you have the other, example that we find in the Quran, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf, that young Yusuf sees that dream, the stars and the sun doing sajda to me. He was not a, adult, 40 years old. No, he was young. And then what happened with him, the whole story of Yusuf is in front of you. How he was strong with his nafs. When Zulaykha invited, he was young. He was a youth, but he was in full control. And that story becomes the Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of stories. The Quran says, is the story of Yusuf, is the story of a young man, of a youth, the best of stories, right? And, look how he managed to come out of that. And Allah helped him. These are lessons that we when we are respecting the Quran, when we are reciting the Quran, but when it comes to engaging the youth, there is nothing going on, unfortunately. The whole majlis is in Urdu. We don't even have English program. Some centers are like that, I'm telling you. I don't want to take names of the centers I know. I get really upset. I said, get anyone. You don't really, get anyone that they could at least read and prepare, give a speech on history or something. Youth have, youngsters are there. My son goes to the masjid. He sits right in front of the mimbar, listening to the Urdu Maulana. I watch him, he's just there. After Majlis, I ask him, what did you understand, Urdu Majlis? No, nothing. He was just sitting there. It's good, it disciplines them, that's good, But, in terms of understanding, not. So we should gear our centers towards catering the youth. Have that Urdu, it's very important. A man who does not know his history, he's lost. We should know our history, our poetry, our adab, our etiquettes. It's very important, and we should be proud of it, right? The Bar-e-Sakhir, the India and Pakistani culture is very amazing, very rich, fascinating, right? So we should be proud of it and celebrate it, and we see that's taking place. Alhamdulillah, we should teach them Urdu. Why not? But in terms of the delivery and having that English is very important. Then there could be programs that would attract them. Quiz, game night. Have a game night. Going out playing. Have a team. These centers are doing it. They have a football team. They have a cricket team where they, somebody needs to take charge. And organize. There will be shyness, there will be hiccups, so on and so forth, but somebody needs to do that. And once we start, then it goes. Like for example, who doesn't love football? Ronaldo is in Iran right now. Look at how they flock the hotel. You have seen or not? They just thousands of youth. Ronaldo, he's like wow. It's like. You don't see that. I don't want to compare him to, but you're like, whoa, what's going on? Why they love him? He's young, youth, sports. But we have to look at why he's so famous, why he's so precise, why he's so good. Muhammad Ali is Muhammad Ali because of discipline. We like to enjoy and get entertained, but we are not pointing out to the discipline which made Muhammad Ali Muhammad Ali. which made Ronaldo Ronaldo. You know, how he's careful about his diet, how he's careful about his sleeping, his waking up, his timing, his exercise. You know, he has reached to that point because of that exercise. If I like that, if I like him, if I enjoy him, I should also, you know, pay attention to those things, right? And I always say this, that, you know, gym, who doesn't like, we like to have some muscle, build a muscle and so on and so forth. We know we kind of look on the internet or YouTube and we go and we do things and we may build some muscle. Okay, yeah. But, you know, the other way is that no, you have a training. The guy is with you and he trains you. He looks at you, you know, your eating habit, your sleeping habit while you are exercising, he advises you. And 6 months or to a year, when you are doing on your own and you become lazy and this and that, but if you have somebody on top of your head, you are on guard, you know, and he takes you, and in a month you will see that, wow, you know, 6 packs is there, you know, as the brother is mentioning, right? So you could see you have that. Why? Because there's a training. When it comes to physical, you know, building muscle, we should have a training. But when it comes to spiritual building muscle, no, kabhi isko sun liya, kabhi usko sun liya, kabhi ye pad liya, koi guidance, there's no direction, you know, there's no direction as such. You need to have that. You know, you have, you know, Ustad here, he teaches how to recite. You know, if he doesn't teach, okay, kabhi isko copy kar li, kabhi usko copy kar li, you copy him, you copy that, so kabhi awaaz is tarah se nikal rahi, kabhi us tarah se, you know what I mean, right? Somebody should be on top of it. So we need that sort of guidance, support, discussion. You know, Majlis is not an entertainment. You know, he speaks good. Okay, they are good speakers, mashallah. But at the end of the day, what these speeches are doing it to me? Is there a change taking place? Yes, a change takes place for a little while, and it's kind of, you know, deteriorates, vanishes away. But if we have a mentor, you know, somebody who looks our youth, a database, mentor, guide them, look at it, you know, give them some sort of direction to these whole things. Initially, it could be somebody from the community member itself, you know, who looks at and who have that database. And then have those discussion and mentorship, career, you know, workshops, so on and so forth, right? And then on top, later on, maybe you have some spiritual guidance, you know, with the same discussions that are going on, the problems that are going on. Mental health is one of those issues are you know, it's just forcing our community, you know, and we are always trying to brush these things under the carpet, unfortunately, which is very much required for us to focus on, right? Especially the youth, you know, because of the invasion of many sort of technological, you know, advancement, which are become really detrimental, right? We are starting to see its effects now. You know, now vaping. You know, I saw somebody on a bus stop. There was this mother. She was vaping. I don't know, 6, 7 years old, vaping. Yeah, I was shocked. Right? This is what happens, and we have no idea what this vaping will do. At least for smoking, we have some sort of, you know, yeah. You know, but this vaping, what's it going to do? We don't know. In 10 years from now, what will happen? And unfortunately, our youth are getting into it. It's something that is very cool to do. You know, they would like to feel like, you know, an adult. Yes, the Prophet have said that. You know, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You know, in a narration, the Prophet says that, you know, khayru shababikum, the best of shabab, you know, young person, min tashabbahu biquhulakum, the one who acts like an adult. The best of shabab, the best of young lad, is the one who behaves like an adult. Now, behaving like an adult is not vaping, right? Behaving like an adult is somebody who is, you know, bodbar, who is, you know, respectable, who have that sort of patience and the way usually our senior members carry themselves, right? So a young person should try to behave in that fashion, the Prophet is saying. And washarru, and also the sharru kohlekum, the worst elderly person, an adult, is the one man tashabbahu bi shababikum, the one who tries to resemble the young person. Oh, he's like, 50-year-old, but I want wearing shorts and tank top and, I know, it's a shar, right? So how beautifully the Prophet have said. So the young person should behave like an adult. Behave like an adult means that adult who is a proper, a person who have that personality, who have that akhlaq, those morality, those etiquettes, right? In terms of dressing, clothing, if you look at, elderly people, they're always well dressed, right? Sherwani they used to wear, how it was always ironed, the clothes were always ironed, the shoes were always polished, yeah? The jinnah cap they used to wear, and the jinnah cap will match their sherwani, the shoes will match. This is what we are talking about. Not, vaping or, how these, for example, older people are into, for instance, So it's very important that we, make our centers a place where the youths are attracted, where the youths are, where we respect them, and we try to provide them with, different facets or different ways, because like I said, not everyone is attracted towards what you call, lectures. Lectures is not a cup of tea for everyone. I just have a few suggestions that, I have already mentioned a lot, that we need to focus on, but maybe perhaps, on a Saturday, if we have a meeting after the Majlis and Matam and everything, we can look into that. For example, there could be a yearly picnic for the whole community, where all community members go for a picnic. We have loads of these things in America. We here as well, I'm pretty sure the centers have it here too, right? But it's very good to have that. Going for hiking with the youth. Going for hiking is very important. It's highly recommended, to do mountain climbing, right? So if there be, individuals, youth, youngsters, we could go close by. Camping is another thing that can be done, right? Some of the centers, Jafariya, I remember, had a camp like in the center itself. 2 days, 3 days in the center itself they had. Or maybe outside is better, obviously, when you go out in the wilderness, and camp, right? People, they learn a lot, the youth learn a lot. So these are few things that needs to take on board. And, we have Sunday schools, for example, right? Somebody was telling me that we have a school that they will run, the youth will run everything one day. Yeah, let them do that, right? Not just one day, maybe, give them, wash them, give them a term, whole term, to manage things and see how difficult it is. The pressure that we have, the headaches and the tummy aches that we get if the teacher calls sick. Oh, what are we going to do? You just sit there, right? Give them that challenge. So it's good, right? And then they will come up with ideas, new ideas, which we will learn from. So it's very important. And as I was mentioning, the whole Quran is full of examples of the Prophet who were young, and in that young age, they were considered to be, the main contributors towards spirituality and deen. Hazrat Ismail, the father is taking him to sacrifice. So, okay, no problem, do it. Look at that, right? He was a young boy. Hazrat Ismail was a young boy, right? So it's all full of stories of youth in the Quran. And the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt has emphasized the same. If you look at, in Karbala as well, Now, obviously, there's a age, different psychologists define youth as, bulugh, some say it's teenage years, till 30, 35, 36, 40, for example, even they say that, I'm trying to, get closer to the age that I have. So you have this different ages, but however, from bulugh, 25, 30 would be something that we would be interested or considering as a youngster, that should be given that. And in Karbala we have seen that a lot. You know, they were children, they were youth, 13 years old, Hazrat Qasim, on Muhammad 9, 10. Look at their, you know, amazing contribution. They were, you know, one is fascinated by their logic, by their understanding, by their calculation, right? And you know, the caravan, when it left Medina, they were so young people with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. But now, as we are in the month of Rabi, as the Marsiya was also recited, the caravan is returning back to Medina. No young children left, no youth left, no men, it's all women, except that Imam who is young as well, 24, the fourth Imam is that age. And when he came to Medina, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya comes, his uncle, and he looks at him as he couldn't recognize him. And he wanted to hug him. And Imam Sajjad says that, "Uncle, easy. There are wounds on my back. These are the wounds of the chains that Imam Sajjad was put under." It wasn't easy for him. You know, on the day of Ashura, he did not know what was going on. He was so sick. He was unconscious. When Imam Hussain comes to the tent and wakes him up, he saw his father in armor. He said, "Father, are you ready to go to the battle? What happened?" He said, "Yes." "Where is Abbas?" He says, "No longer here." "Where is Ali Akbar?" "He's not here." You know, "Where is Qasim?" "He's not here." And then Imam Hussain stops him before he asks, "Where is Ali Asghar?" Because he was also shaheed, right? Imam Hussain stops him and says, "Oh Sajjad, know that amongst men, either it's you or me. We are the one who is left among men." So Imam Sajjad, when he returns, they say that whenever Imam Sajjad will pass by the market, meat market, where butchers are there, they would cover the heads of the sheep because they don't want Imam Sajjad to remember his father, the way Imam Hussain was slaughtered. Even the 8th Imam says to, you know, Rehan ibn Rabi, he says that my father was slaughtered like a sheep. My grandfather was slaughtered like a sheep in the month of Muharram. When the Muharram begins, he starts to cry, and there's a very famous narration from the 8th Imam that he says he was slaughtered like a sheep. So now the caravan is returning to Medina, and Bashir goes and announces that they have arrived. And here imagine the daughter of Imam Hussain, who is Fatima Sughra, expecting and looking the women and asking what happened. And she was also searching for somebody, and that was Ali Asghar. And even Ali Asghar did not return. Rabab was crying when she meets Fatima Sughra salamullah alayha. And here is Zainab. When Zainab comes to the grave of the Prophet, she begins reciting the Marsiya. She mentions about how the brother was killed, Hussein. She mentions how Abul Fazl Abbas was killed. She mentions how Hazrat Qasim was killed. But who did she not mention? She did not mention On and Muhammad, because she regarded On and Muhammad as a charity, as a sadaqah for the life of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And then she did not mention at all, not even here. Even when she visited Karbala in Arba'in, she did matam for Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. Imam Sajjad was standing on the grave of On and Muhammad. Even when the heads were being collected, she collected the head of Hussein. The head of On and Muhammad were remaining in the tray. The women started to ask, are these orphans? Nobody is claiming the head, because the wife and the woman and the wives and the sisters and the family members, they started claiming the heads of the shuhada, but the head of On and Muhammad wasn't claimed. When they looked at the heads, they say, "Oh, this is On and Muhammad. Where is Zainab?" Zainab is with the head of Hussein. She always lamented and cried for Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam till the time after, from the Masjid al-Nabawi, she goes back home. When she goes back home and opens the door of her house, she throws herself on the ground. and she throws herself on the ground because she sees the chambers of On and Muhammad. She remembers how On and Muhammad used to be there, how they used to play in the courtyard, how is that date palm, under that date palm they used to play, how they used to fetch from that well which she had. So she started lamenting and crying, saying, my On and my Muhammad at that time, when she is by herself. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your azadari and pursa. To our condolences to Hazrat Zainab salamullah alayha, ala lanatullah, ala qawm al-zalimin, sayalamu alladhina zalamu, ayya munqalibin yanqalibun, matame Hussain, ya Hussain, ya Hussain, ya Hussain,
Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain.
گلشن زہرا گلشن زہرا گلشن زہرا گلشن زہرا گلشن زہرا گلشن زہرا زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نے سر دے کے اسلام کو پالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول افسوس مسلمانوں عاشور کو مقتل میں افسوس مسلمانوں عاشور کو مقتل میں قرآن کے پاروں کو نیزوں پہ اچھالا ہے ہر پھول نے سر دے کے اسلام کو پالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے اے موت کبھی تو نے زینب سے نہیں پوچھا اے موت کبھی تو نے زینب سے نہیں پوچھا 18 برس کیسے اس شیر کو پالا ہے ہر پھول نے سر دے کے اسلام کو پالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا بس قبر زہرا کی ڈوبی ہے اندھیروں میں بس قبر زہرا کی ڈوبی ہے اندھیروں میں حالانکہ مدینے میں ہر سمت اجالا ہے ہر پھول نے سر دے کے اسلام کو پالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا سرکار محمد ہو ست ہو کہ آخر ہو خاطر ہو زہرا کے چراغوں سے ہر سمت اجالا ہے، ہر پھول نثر دے کے اسلام کو پالا ہے، زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے، زہرا تیرے گلشن کا ہر پھول نرالا ہے، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین۔
سن کے تم ریپیٹ کر رہے ہیں، یا حسین یا حسین۔ عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آتا ہے، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، دوبارہ عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ثانی آئی، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، پہرے پہ زہرا جائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، پہرے پہ زہرا جائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، کل انبیاء نے دیکھا منظر وہ بے کسی کا، کل انبیاء نے دیکھا منظر وہ بے کسی کا، زہرا نے بال کھولے دل روتا تھا علی کا، جب لاش شاہدی نے، جب لاش شاہدی نے اکبر کی ہے اٹھائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، سجاد سا نہ ہوگا مظلوم زمانے میں، سجاد سا نہ ہوگا مظلوم زمانے میں، مصروف سب تھے ظالم خیموں کو جلانے میں، عابد کو ختم کر گئی، عابد کو ختم کر گئی زینب کی بے ردائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، کب جائیں گے وطن کو سجاد سے کہتی تھی، کب جائیں گے وطن کو سجاد سے کہتی تھی، رو رو کے یہ سکینہ آئے پوچھتی رہتی تھی، یہ لوگ یتیموں کو، یہ لوگ یتیموں کو کیوں مارتے ہیں بھائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، شاباش، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی آئی، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، گھر لٹ گیا ہے سارا، پہرے پہ زہرا جائی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسے آئی، عابد پہ کربلا میں ایک رات ایسی، یا حسین 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 یا حسین، اللہم صلی علی محمد و علی محمد۔ متوجہ زیارت۔
السلام علیک یا ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن نبی اللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن امیر المومنین و ابن سید الوسین، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیک یا غریب الغرباء، السلام علیک یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام علیک یا انیس النفوس ایہا المدفون بعرض توس، السلطان ابو الحسن علی ابن موسیٰ الرضا، کن شفیعنا و شفیع والدین فی یوم الجزا، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیک یا مولا یا صاحب العصر والزمان، سیدی اللامان 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 من فتنة الزمان، السلام علیک یا شریک القرآن، السلام علیک یا خلیفۃ الرحمن، السلام علیک یا قامع الکفر والطغیان، السلام علیک یا دافع الظلم والعدوان، السلام علیک یا امامنا و امام الانس والجان، اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسهل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک وجعلنا من اعوانک وانصارک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔